like, no, I don't want to go back to school. No, they're actually almost done with schoolwork, right? Dolores wants to go to school.
Chris, no, I've been out for 50 years today. Just wanted, that was a milestone.
Dolores has been out of school for 50 years today. She's only 30. Only 30. No.
I'm still educating her.
You're still educated. That is not a good education. They're actually almost done with schoolwork, probably, if not already done, pretty much. I know that there's a couple of my kids that still have just a little bit left, and Riley's like, yes, that's me. Oh, I hate it. I don't want to do it. It's okay. You're almost done, and then you'll be able to do whatever we tell you to do around the house. So, work will be done. Cody, you're starting to look a little bit like me, like it's time for a haircut. Those are opening back up too. But June, the last Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of June, we have Pack the Park, which we did and began last summer, but we're going to do that again this year, and looking forward to it. As long as nobody tells us we can't do it, which has not been done yet, and I know that Music in the Park starts up a couple of weeks before that, so we will, of course, be safe in everything we do, but Pack the Park's going to, happen, and if by chance they do say, hey, no, we want to wait, then what we'll probably do is we'll postpone it to a later month, or maybe there's a little bit further out, but right now, it's going to be that last weekend in June, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday morning, and Sunday night, and we're looking forward to it. I'm excited about it. Tony is going to do the music again, and this year I will be preaching, and I know all of you that are here this morning are saying, no, somebody else, Chris. Somebody else, no, sorry. I really felt like, back prior to December, I felt like God wanted me to preach this year at Pack the Park. And I'll tell you, I will be honest, I told him no several times, but never talked to anybody else about it until finally I decided, no, this is what God wants. So I got to follow that, I got to do that, so that's what's going to happen there. And really, in the grand scheme of things now, it turns out it's probably a good thing that I'm preaching, because then we don't have anybody else that we have to worry about time frame and making sure that everything works out with the Ronication and all of that. I don't call it Corona anymore, I just say Rona. That's just me having a little bit of fun with the word. But we're looking forward to that. That's next month. The Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night will be just like, or Sunday morning will be just like last year, and then Sunday night will be more of a youth time, and the message will be more geared towards them. That doesn't mean adults don't come. It means come support the youth and the kids and be there for them. And I guarantee you'll still get stuff from it. But that's what I'm preparing for. I've been preparing for those messages mentally, right? Putting stuff in my phone for notes and preparing for those things. Even this morning, I'm thinking about this morning, but then at the same time, my mind has been going to that and preparing for that and writing down some stuff and getting ready for that weekend. So pray for that. Pray for Pack the Park. Pray that we will have good crowds like we did last year and even more. Pray that people will hear the gospel and respond to it, and that it will be a time where we can be a light in the community. But on to this morning and living out your faith, right? Which is what we're supposed to be doing. Living out our faith. Living out our confidence in God, living out our assurance that what we can't see is real, but living that out in our lives. And that's what all of these guys and gals in this chapter in Hebrews have done. And the passage just walks through their lives, right? Not every detail of their lives, but some small details in their lives of how they lived and what they did and why they were so faithful and why God said, look at these people's lives, okay? And this morning he begins, the writer in Hebrews begins with Abel and then Enoch and Noah, and that's what we're going to talk about today. And next week we'll get to Abraham and Sarah and so forth. But they're really, when you read this chapter, what you should do is go backwards, right? And read about their lives. Read about Abraham. Read about Sarah. Read about Abel and Cain and that relationship there. And read about Enoch. And there's not a lot to read about Enoch. But then read about Noah. And if you have a study Bible or if you have Google, if you have Google, then, put it in there and read some different commentaries about the things that went on in their lives and what those passages mean, because those are beneficial to us. They can help us understand more about what God is trying to tell us here in Hebrews about their faith. So let's read that passage, okay? Starting in verse 3. No. Not starting in verse 3. I put verse 3 on here. And I told Lucy to put verse 3 on there, but we're starting in verse 4. That's me. Making a mistake. Now I feel like carrying the bulletin.
No, I made a fun book.
You made a fun bulletin. Upside down. No. By faith, starting in verse 4, it says, by faith Abel brought God a better offering than Cain did. By faith he was commended as righteous when God spoke well of his offerings, and by faith Abel still speaks even though he is dead. By faith Enoch was taken from this life so that he did not experience death. He could not be found because God had taken him away. For before he was taken, he was commended as one who pleased God. And without faith it is impossible to please God, because anyone who comes to him must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who earnestly seek him. By faith, Noah, when warned about things not yet seen, in holy fear built an ark to save his family. By his faith, he condemned the world and became heir of the righteousness that is in keeping with faith. Now, one of the things that I want you to notice in this passage, that one of the words that keeps coming up is commended, right? Commended. They were kind of lifted up. They were put on a pedestal. They were given an award. Your award, you're commended, you kind of given an award for doing good. Well, Abel and Noah and Enoch and all these other guys, they were commended because they have done what is honorable before God. Okay? They are doing what is honorable before God. So how has faith expressed itself in your daily life? That's the question, right? Because that's what these guys are doing, that's what these guys are teaching us, and that is what we are supposed to be doing. How has faith expressed itself in your daily life? So, not that you're going to school right now, but kids, when you go to school, how is your faith being expressed when someone talks about Jesus? How do you respond? Do you shrink back because you don't want to, you don't want to get made fun of or picked at or harassed or anything like that? Or do you stand there boldly and say, yeah, I know who Jesus is. I know about God. Okay? Do you stand up for your faith? Do you believe it when someone is making fun of someone else for their beliefs? Do you stand up for them? We cannot shrink. We have to be bold, right? Paul says, I am not ashamed of the gospel, and we can't either. And our faith has to be expressed in that way. In school, at work. Adults, when you're at work, For some of us, it may be easy. You may work right next to somebody that has faith and believes just like you do, and so it's a little bit easier. But there's still going to be people around that don't, and they may talk about things that are inappropriate. They may discuss things that are inappropriate. They may tell jokes, and then you may want to laugh at those things and be involved in those things. Or maybe it's just they're talking about somebody in an inappropriate way, and in the sense of talking about their lives and the things that they've done. And for us as Christians to live in faith, we cannot join those conversations. We can't be a part of those things. Our faith says we got to do things differently. We can't join in a conversation talking about somebody that bad. Whether it's ridiculing their life or joking about inappropriate things that may have been done. We can't. I know it's hard because I know that we want to be liked by everybody. But our job is not to be liked by everybody, right? Actually, here in this passage, it talks about Enoch and it says that he pleased God. And guess what? So did Abel, and so did Noah, and so did Abraham, and Sarah, and Gideon, and all of those guys going forward. They pleased God. So when we are talking about how is our life, our faith express itself in our daily life, then we need to make sure that it is pleasing to God. Our life must be pleasing to God. Well, how do we do that? What did these guys do that was pleasing to God that we can then take and live out in our daily lives so that we are living lives that express our faith in God? Not our faith in a sports team. I love sports. Everybody knows this, that I like sports. I like the Cowboys. I can watch football. I can watch baseball. I don't watch it as much anymore. I don't watch anything nearly as much as I used to. But I enjoy those things. But those things are not important. So my faith is not I'm not expressing my faith in that. I'm not expressing my faith in even my family. And I love my family. But they are like not the top priority. And a lot of times we don't understand that. But even our family is not our top priority. We're not placing our faith in our family. We're not expressing our faith in our family. We're expressing our faith in God. And all of those other things, our family and love for them and love for our coworkers, will all trickle down to that, right? Because we're expressing our faith in God. And we're pleasing God. So what are the things that these guys did? Well, Abel was obedient. And you can say all of them are obedient, but the obedience is pointed out here with Abel. Okay, so the story of Cain and Abel, right? And everybody, we want to tell all these good stories from the Bible and everything about all of the good stuff that was done, or these really cool stories about Daniel surviving through the lion's den and stuff. But this one's kind of it's a tragic story, right? Cain and Abel, the first two brothers in the Bible, and they were supposed to bring sacrifices to God. And Cain brought his, and it was some of the stuff from the field that had been planted, and he brought it to God, and God wasn't pleased with it. God didn't want what Cain had brought, because Cain came with the wrong attitude. Cain knew that what God wanted, but he didn't bring what God wanted, so he wasn't obedient to God. But Abel's sacrifice was pleasing to God because it was some of the first fruits of the flock, right? And you could say, well, maybe it was because he brought something of blood versus something of the field, but really probably it had everything to do with the attitude in his heart. Abel and Cain, while it doesn't tell us the whole story and the background of how they decided to come and bring sacrifices, they knew what God wanted. That's why they were bringing a sacrifice. One of them brought it with a heart and an attitude that was more disobedient and unwilling. And Abel brought it with a heart and an attitude that was obedient to God. And it revealed his faith in God. his bringing of this sacrifice revealed his obedient heart. So for us, we're not talking about just any kind of obedience to our family, right? We're talking about an obedience to God that reveals our attitude and our faith in God. Because that's what obedience does, right? Okay? We can use the example of whether or not we're obedient to people, right? I mean, our kids, or you as a child, when you were disobedient, revealed your true character and your true thoughts about what you wanted there. Your respect for an adult or a parent. Because when you're disobedient, it says that you're not respecting me. You really don't care that much. And a life full of disobedience says that I don't care at all. And Abel was not living one. He was living a life that said, I want to believe in God. I want to follow God. Now his life was cut short, right? Because he was murdered by Cain because Cain was upset. But Abel's life still speaks, right? Still speaks to his obedience and what our obedience needs to be. That God has shown us what his ways are, what is good and pleasing to him, and we need to live that way. At all costs. And it may cost us some friends. It may cost us a job. It may cost us money. But in the grand scheme of things, none of those things matter compared to making sure that our obedience expresses how we feel about God and who God is in our lives. God is top. God is the top priority, top thing in our lives. And so we must be obedient at any cost. Must be obedient to God at any cost. So Abel was obedient, right? Can you be obedient to God in your life like Abel was? Can you express that in your daily life? Of course you can. Of course you can. You must have and give and still live sacrificially before God. Being obedient. Giving up things that maybe you don't want to give up. Having an attitude inside, inward attitude that reveals itself on the outside about who God is in your life. So yes, you can be obedient. Enoch, one of my favorite guys in all the Bible. There's really not much said about him in the Bible. He only talks about it a few times. But Enoch, and what it says about Enoch is that he walked with God for 365 years. Longest walk ever. It's still in the Guinness Book of World Records, right? I mean, 365 years that he walked with God. And then he was no more. It's like he was just walking, and then all of a sudden, his steps were higher and higher and higher, and God just took him on up into heaven. And they couldn't find him. He did not die. What an amazing story, right? Yeah, it is truly an amazing story. Don't we want to live that same way? It's not about whether or not we miss out on death. That's not the important thing. But the fact that he walked with God, okay, that's obedience. And he pleased God so much that God just took him up on ahead. What does it say about him here in this passage? Basically, it says that what Enoch did is that he was earnestly seeking God. And he was rewarded for that. Now, rewards are different at different times and for different people, right? The reward here is great. It's spectacular. But we're not doing this for rewards. We're doing this because God loves us, and we're going to love him back. But we need to learn to earnestly seek God. Earnestly. What does that mean? Well, it's a deep desire and a deep passion that drives you, right? things that I thought about that could be examples of this. Okay? And you have to bear with me because my examples some of them, they always lean towards sports somehow. I mean, it's just where my brain goes. But during the famine of 2020, or the plague of 2020, we watched movies with the kids a lot. One of the movies that I got to introduce them to was Rudy. Okay? Have you ever watched Rudy? Cody's shaking his head. Yes, yeah, he's watched Rudy. Rudy is awesome because Rudy made a decision early on in life that he was going to play football for Notre Dame. Now, in the movie, Rudy is said to be 5 foot nothing and 100 and nothing, and had no talent. Okay, he didn't have any football talent, but he had all heart. And what he had decided is that I'm going to play football for them, and I'm going to do everything at all costs to do that. And so everything he did was earnestly seeking to play football at Notre Dame. So when he made the decision to leave where he was and go to college, he couldn't get into Notre Dame. So he went to school at the school next to there for like 2 or 3 years until he got accepted over and over again throughout all that rejection until he made it. And then he tried out for the football team. And even though he wasn't any good, his heart and his determination got him there. So he earnestly sought after that. What about Zacchaeus? Zacchaeus wanted to see Jesus. But he was 5 foot nothing, 100 nothing. And he was a tax collector. Nobody's going to let that guy, nobody wanted that guy around. Zacchaeus was a wee little man, is what it said. So what did he do? He climbed up in the sycamore tree so that he could see Jesus. Something about Jesus that I needed to be a part of. Something about Jesus that he wanted to know. And so he decided, I'm going to do whatever it takes to see him. That is earnestly seeking after God. A drive and a passion, a desire to do what God wants, to please God, no matter what. We have to earnestly seek after God. We've made the decision to follow God. But this is not a one foot in type thing. Right? You partially in, leaning over the fence. No. It's in or out, right? You got to be all the way in when following God earnestly. With all of that desire, with all that passion. You've made the decision that you're going to follow God, and no matter what it costs, you will. And there are people who have had to leave families because their families wouldn't take them anymore because they decided to follow God. And they did. They left their families, disowned them or whatever. That's earnestly seeking God. Now hopefully your family doesn't disown you, but rather sees your faith in your seeking of God and says, I want to know that too. I want to feel that as well. I want to live like Enoch did. And if I get taken up into heaven like he did, great. But if I don't, oh well, I know that I've pleased God with my life. I've been obedient. I've earnestly sought after a relationship with a God who wants a relationship with me. And we've had a relationship. That's what Enoch did. He pleased God because he sought after God every moment of his life. And then there's Noah. And everybody tells the story of Noah, right? What did Noah do? He built an ark so that a flood would come and the rest of the world died. That story's horrible, isn't it? It's a great story. It's a beautiful story of faith on one end, and it's a horrible story about the evil that was in the world and the destruction of what had to be done on the other side. But here's the thing with Noah. Okay? This was not a short commitment. I mean, he had to give up his whole life, basically, for this. Do you know how long it was from when God said, build an ark, build a boat that you've never seen before, build a boat, until the time of the flood? It was roughly 120 years. We don't think about it being that long. We think about, God said build an ark, and you get to work, you build, and you get all the animals on there real quick, and it happened in like just a few days, or a few weeks, or a few months. It's 120 years. This was a lifelong commitment, and that is what faith is. And when we're expressing it in our lives, it's not something that we do one day and not the next. It is something that happens every day of our lives for the rest of our lives. It is a lifelong commitment. 120 years for Noah. They hadn't seen rain. He spent 120 years building a boat, and they hadn't seen rain. No wonder he was ridiculed, right? No wonder they were making fun of him. You're crazy. But this is what God told me to do. And I believe in God. I have faith in God. God is going to tell you things to do, and you may not have seen what He wants you to do. You may have never seen it before in your entire life. And you may have to wait 25 years, 50 years, 100 years for the receiving of the end of that. But that doesn't mean that we don't do it. Because our faith is not something that we do in the moment that something is supposed to come true. It's not something that we're supposed to do in that first moment. It is something that is a lifelong commitment. And it is to be expressed daily in your lives. You can't go to school 1 month and say, I'm a Christian. I'm going to follow God. And the next month, month 2, okay, this month I'm not going to. Then I want to do what I want to do for this month. And then month 3, okay, I'm back to following God. I'm going to be faithful. Then month 4, and so forth, and so forth. It's not the way it works. That'd be like saying, hey, Lucy, we're married, but let's take a 6-week break, and then we'll be married again after that. And then 6 weeks, back and forth and back. It's horrible. That would be horrible, right? That's not a commitment. That's not a commitment. We made a commitment to God to follow Him because He loves us. We believe in Him because He died for us. And now our response, so that we are pleasing God and doing and being obedient and earnestly seeking after Him, is that earnestly seeking after Him is a lifelong commitment. And that's the way Noah lived. Noah lived his entire life being faithful to God. What about our commitment? I mean, is it like we're going to a swimming pool and that water's cold, so we're just going to put our feet in for a little while so that then we get used to it. And once our feet get used to it, then we'll get a little bit further, but I'm never going to get it all the way. God is not a swimming pool. Just put your feet in for a little while, and then once you're comfortable with Him, once you're comfortable with what He wants you to do, then you kind of, okay, I'll give a little bit more. Or no, I'm not getting used to this. So I'm going to back out. I'm going to back out. Nope. In or out. This is a lifelong commitment. Faith is to be expressed for the remainder of your life, from the moment that it begins. That is good. And this is the way that we are supposed to live. It is how we please God, is by being consistent in our faith. And these guys were consistent. Abel was obedient, and he was consistent in his obedience. And Enoch was consistent in earnestly seeking after God, day after day after day. And Noah was consistent in committing to God for this entire life. Day after day after day. These things please God. These things are what we need to be doing in our lives so that we are pleasing God. This is how we live out our faith. Don't you want to live out your faith? It's what we're called to do. To live out our faith in God. So what is your faith revealed? What is your current status of your faith? What does it reveal about your relationship with God? Does it reveal that you've been doing it like the swimming pool where you're part in and part out? Not ready to completely commit? Or one day you're on fire and the next day you're not, so you're not really, you're kind of 50-50 seeking God earnestly? Or you're obedient when it's convenient for you, but when it's inconvenient, I don't want to be obedient right now. Maybe you're all in. Great. Keep going. Don't waver. God will be with you the entire time. God will pull you along. But if you've been wavering, if you're kind of in and out, if you're like one of those floppy car guys that you see out front of car dealerships when the wind's just blowing, you're all over the place. Okay? You gotta get away from that, because that's not the correct way. That's the way that, because it talks about in Scripture, right? I mean, we talk about 12 disciples. This is 12. I held my hands up a little bit. This is not 12. This is 12. This is 12. Okay? But there were a lot more disciples at the beginning, right? But they were not ready to be obedient completely. They were not ready to seek God earnestly. They were not ready to give up a lifelong commitment. I want to be like those first few, the 11. Because then you think Judas, right? He was in it for himself. What is your faith? Your current faith. Look at your life. And what does it reveal about your relationship with God? Are you earnest? Are you obedient? Or are you doing things your own way? Don't do your own way. That's like my kids coming to me and saying, I picked up the yard the way I want to. And then we walk outside and we see the 52 pieces of trash they left out there. Or, and there's not that much trash in our yard, by the way. But the toys all over the place. I picked up the balls. Yeah, but you left the frisbee, and you left this, and you left that. This is not a your way thing, right? This is God's way. And if you believe that God's way is the best way, then you got to all the way in. And then your life will speak to those around you. And it will tell them that your faith in God is not something that you take lightly. It's not something that you think is a joke. But it says that I have a real relationship with God. Not one of those where we have those fake smiles like, yeah, I'm friends with God. That's real. It's genuine. attention so that you can recognize, am I earnest? Or am I not? I'm not giving God everything. Give God all of who you are. Live out your faith on a daily basis. Go bow with me. Lord, thank you for your word this morning. Lord, teach us these truths in our life. Each day, remind us that we need to be obedient. Each day, teach us what it means to seek after you earnestly with all of who we are. And then remind us every day that this is not a commitment that ends today. It's lifelong. Until the day when we get to rejoice with you in heaven, and then it just keeps going. Thank you for these moments, Lord. Help us to trust in you, to know how to go each day. Lord, be with all of the different prayer requests. Lord, be with Lisa and Kat. These are our family. These are our friends and those that we love, Lord, and we know they're hurting right now. Lord, we ask that you heal the body physically, and that we ask that you heal the hurt and the pain from all of it that goes with it. Lord, thank you for a wonderful day of food bank, helping us get through that, Lord. Thank you for this community, Lord, because we love them. Help us to continue to show that love and to be the hands and feet of God in this community. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. We're going to stand and sing